Welcome to this deep dive into Steven Bartlett's The Diary of a CEO. We're going to unpack the most powerful and actionable of his 33 laws. I have a feeling you'll be surprised by how many of these business laws, well, they apply to life in general.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things that makes Bartlett's work so compelling. He doesn't just talk about building businesses. He talks about building a life.
Okay, let's jump right in. Bartlett kicks things off with self-belief, especially when things get tough. He's adamant that you have to believe in yourself, even when, or maybe especially when you're facing setbacks and failures. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, it's interesting because he doesn't shy away from the reality of failure. He actually embraces it. He sees failure not as a defeat, but as a critical part of the learning process.
He really emphasizes extracting those valuable lessons from every misstep, right? It's not about dwelling on the failure, but about analyzing what went wrong and using that knowledge to improve.
Exactly. And this leads into his concept of the 1% rule, the idea that tiny, consistent improvements can lead to massive results over time. It's almost like a compounding effect, like interest on an investment. Each small improvement builds upon the last one, creating exponential growth.
I love that analogy. It makes it so much more tangible. You're not trying to overhaul your entire life overnight. You're just focusing on making small, incremental improvements each day.
Right. And what's really powerful about this principle is that it can be applied to virtually anything, whether it's your productivity, your fitness goals, your relationships, or even just your overall happiness. Think about it. If you could find just one small thing to improve each day, how much progress could you make in a year?
Okay, I'm definitely feeling motivated already. But as we all know, life isn't always a smooth upward trajectory. We're constantly bombarded with things outside of our control, news, opinions, unexpected events that can derail our progress and throw us off course.
That's where Bartlett's law of control comes in. He's very clear that focusing on things you can't control is a recipe for stress and frustration. Instead, he urges us to shift our focus to what we can control, our effort, our attitude, our reactions, our choices.
This is so important. How many times do we waste energy worrying about things that are completely out of our hands? But by focusing on what we can control, we empower ourselves to take action and make positive changes, regardless of external circumstances. How can someone apply that to their everyday life? It seems like a simple idea, but so hard to implement.
It is difficult to implement, but it comes down to recognizing when you're caught up in things beyond your influence. For example, maybe you're stressing about a work deadline that's looming. Instead of worrying it, focus your energy on what you can do to meet that deadline. Breaking down the project into smaller tasks, managing your time effectively, or even having a conversation with your manager about any roadblocks you're facing.
So it's about taking that feeling of being overwhelmed and channeling it into productive action, right? Shifting from a passive mindset to an active one.
Exactly. Instead of being a victim of circumstance, you become the architect of your own outcomes. And that's a really empowering shift to make.
All right, so we've laid the groundwork with self-belief, embracing failure as a learning opportunity, focusing on consistent improvement, and mastering our own sphere of control. But how do we translate these principles into tangible success?
That's where Bartlett's emphasis on authenticity comes in. He argues that true success stems from aligning your actions with your values, building a personal brand that reflects who you truly are, and surrounding yourself with a supportive network.
Now, when you say building a personal brand, are you talking about things like social media presence and carefully curated images?
It's much more than that. He's talking about defining your core values, identifying what makes you unique, and then letting those things guide your decisions and actions. Your personal brand should be an authentic reflection of who you are, not a manufactured image.
So it's not about trying to be someone you're not. It's about being the best version of yourself.
Exactly. It's about understanding your strengths and weaknesses, embracing your quirks, and using them to your advantage.
This makes me think about the people we choose to surround ourselves with. Bartlett stresses building a strong support network, a personal board of directors, as he calls it, made up of people who challenge you, inspire you, and support your growth. How do we go about finding these people?
It starts with being intentional about the relationships you cultivate. Seek out people who share your values, who are positive and supportive, but who aren't afraid to offer constructive criticism. And don't be afraid to be vulnerable and ask for help when you need it.
And it's not just about receiving support, right? It's about reciprocating that support, being there for others, and contributing to their growth as well.
Absolutely. Bartlett calls this the law of reciprocity. It's about approaching relationships, whether personal or professional, with a spirit of generosity and a willingness to give freely without expecting anything in return.
I think that's a really important point. It's easy to get caught up in the transactional nature of networking, but true connections are built on mutual respect support and a genuine desire to help each other succeed.
Precisely. And this ties into Bartlett's emphasis on long-term thinking. He's a firm believer in playing the long game, making decisions with the future in mind, building relationships that last, and focusing on sustainable success rather than quick wins.
So it's about having a vision for where you want to be in the future, and then making choices today that align with that vision.
Yes. And recognizing that the path to success isn't always linear. There will be setbacks, detours, and unexpected challenges along the way. But by keeping the long-term goal in mind, you can navigate those challenges more effectively and stay focused on the bigger picture.
This brings us to another crucial point, the need for adaptability. In a world that's constantly changing, being able to adapt is essential for survival, let alone success.
Absolutely. We need to be open to new ideas, willing to learn new skills, and able to adjust our course when necessary. Bartlett emphasizes the importance of being a lifelong learner, embracing change, and viewing challenges as opportunities for growth.
He also highlights the power of storytelling as a way to connect with others, convey your message, and make a lasting impact. Why do you think storytelling is so important in business, but also in life in general?
Stories have a way of cutting through the noise and resonating with people on an emotional level. They make information more memorable. They build empathy and connection, and they inspire action. Think about the most successful brands in the world. They all have compelling stories to tell.
And it's not just about telling stories about yourself, right? It's also about being able to listen to and understand the stories of others.
That's right. Being able to truly listen to and connect with people is a crucial skill for building strong relationships and creating a sense of shared understanding.
This leads us to another important aspect of Bartlett's philosophy, and one that is often overlooked in the pursuit of success: health and well-being.
Yes, he's very vocal about the importance of prioritizing your physical and mental health. He argues that you can't achieve true success if you burn yourself out in the process.
It's about finding that balance between pushing yourself and knowing when to rest and recharge.
Exactly. And this includes things like getting enough sleep, eating well, exercising regularly, managing stress, and making time for activities that bring you joy and fulfillment.
He also talks about the importance of taking calculated risks, not just jumping into anything blindly, but being willing to step outside of your comfort zone and pursue opportunities that align with your goals and values.
It's about understanding that big rewards often come with big risks, but also recognizing that inaction can be its own form of risk. Bartlett encourages us to do our research, assess the potential downsides, and then trust our intuition and take the leap.
And even if things don't work out exactly as planned, we can always learn from the experience and apply those lessons to future endeavors.
Absolutely. It's all part of the journey.
Now let's dive into one of Bartlett's most well-known principles, the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle.
This principle states that roughly 80% of our results come from just 20% of our efforts. It's a powerful concept that can be applied to virtually every area of our lives.
So it's about identifying that crucial 20%, the activities that have the biggest impact, and then ruthlessly prioritizing them.
Exactly. It's about eliminating distractions, delegating tasks when possible, and focusing your time and energy on the things that truly move the needle.
And this ties in with his emphasis on being obsessed with solving problems. He believes that success, whether in business or in life, is about identifying real-world problems and creating innovative solutions.
He's very clear that it's not enough to have good ideas. You have to be willing to take action and execute those ideas.
He's a firm believer in getting things done and turning those brilliant ideas into tangible results.
And this often involves embracing technology, finding mentors who can guide and support you, and maintaining a constant hunger for growth and improvement.
He also talks about the importance of staying humble. Even when you achieve success, it's easy to get caught up in the hype and start believing your own press. But Bartlett stresses the importance of remembering where you came from and staying grounded.
And he links this to the law of consistency. It's about showing up day after day, even when you don't feel like it. It's about building those habits that support your goals.
Yeah.
And making progress no matter how small.
He challenges us to shift our focus from just income to impact. It's about asking ourselves, how can I make a difference, rather than how much money can I make?
It's about finding purpose in our work and aligning our actions with our values.
And this brings us to a really important point, the power of saying no. In a world that's constantly demanding our attention, it's more important than ever to be selective about what we commit to.
Absolutely. Bartlett emphasizes the importance of setting boundaries, prioritizing our time, and saying no to anything that doesn't align with our goals or contribute to our overall well-being.
He's also a strong believer in investing in yourself, whether it's through books, courses, experiences, or simply carving out time for reflection and self-improvement.
And this is where his perspective on luck gets really interesting. He acknowledges that luck plays a role in success, but he also believes we can create our own luck by being prepared, putting ourselves out there, and seizing opportunities when they arise. It's about being open to possibility and being ready to capitalize on those serendipitous moments.
So it's not just about sitting back and hoping for the best. It's about actively creating the conditions for luck to strike.
Precisely. It's about being proactive, taking initiative, and putting yourself in the right place at the right time.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground here, but what really stands out to me is how Bartlett emphasizes the importance of building a fulfilling life, not just a successful career. He reminds us that true success is about finding that sweet spot, where passion, purpose, and impact intersect.
And that's where his concept of resilience really shines. It's about having the mental and emotional fortitude to bounce back from setbacks, to learn from our mistakes, and to keep moving forward even when things get tough.
Welcome back to this deep dive into the 33 Laws from Steven Bartlett's The Diary of a CEO. Before the break, we were talking about resilience. You know, that ability to bounce back from challenges. It feels especially relevant in today's fast-paced world, where things change so quickly.
It's almost like resilience is a muscle. You have to keep working out right. The more you face those setbacks and learn to overcome them, the stronger you become.
Exactly. And Bartlett doesn't just talk about resilience in a personal sense. He also applies it to business, especially when it comes to focusing on the customer.
Yes, he's a big advocate for really understanding your customers, knowing their needs, their pain points, and then exceeding their expectations. It's not just about making a sale. It's about building relationships and creating something that truly adds value to people's lives.
Think about a company you really love doing business with. I bet they're great at understanding and anticipating your needs right. It almost feels like they're reading your mind.
That's the kind of customer-centric approach that Bartlett champions. And it's not just good for customers, it's good for business. Happy customers are more likely to become loyal customers, and they're more likely to spread the word about your brand.
Makes sense. Now, all this talk about building businesses and serving customers might seem a little overwhelming, especially if you're just starting out or feeling like things are really complex. Bartlett actually addresses this with his law of simplicity.
He's a big believer in keeping things simple. He argues that complexity often gets in the way of execution, and that the best solutions are often the most straightforward ones.
So it's about stripping away the unnecessary, clarifying your message, and focusing on the core elements that truly matter, kind of like decluttering your business or even your life.
Exactly. He advocates for streamlining processes, simplifying communication, and designing products and services that are easy to understand and use.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Bartlett also delves in some less businessy, but equally important laws. He talks about the power of gratitude. Why do you think that's so crucial, not just for personal well-being, but also for success?
Gratitude has a way of shifting our perspective from what we lack to what we have. It allows us to appreciate the good things in our lives, even amidst challenges. And that can be incredibly empowering. It fosters positivity, reduces stress, and even helps us build stronger relationships.
He also talks about momentum, the idea that small wins can create a chain reaction of success.
Yes, and this builds on his 1% rule. It's about celebrating those small victories,
Yeah.
no matter how insignificant they may seem, because they provide the motivation and momentum to keep moving forward.
So it's like a positive feedback loop, right? Each win fuels the next one.
Precisely. And this ties into the importance of taking decisive action. Bartlett argues that indecision can be paralyzing, and that it's often better to make a decision even if it's not perfect than to get stuck in analysis paralysis.
So it's about trusting your gut, taking that leap of faith, and then course-correcting along the way if needed.
Exactly. And this leads us to one of his more intriguing concepts, the power of visualization.
Oh, I'm fascinated by this one. Tell me more.
Bartlett encourages us to create a clear mental picture of our goals, to imagine ourselves achieving those goals, and to use that visualization to fuel our actions and maintain motivation.
So it's almost like creating a mental blueprint for success.
Yes. And he believes that this kind of focused visualization can actually help to rewire our brains and make us more likely to achieve what we set out to do.
He also challenges us to think about our legacy.
This is about moving beyond the immediate
Hmm.
and considering the long-term impact we want to have on the world. It's about asking ourselves what we want to be remembered for, what contribution we want to make, and what kind of world we want to leave behind.
It's a big question, but an important one to consider, right?
Absolutely. It helps us to clarify our values, define our purpose, and ensure that our actions are aligned with our aspirations for a better future.
And perhaps most importantly, Bartlett reminds us that learning is a lifelong journey. It's about staying curious, embracing new ideas, and continuously expanding our knowledge and skills. This feels particularly relevant to you listening to this deep dive right now.
It's so true. The world is constantly evolving.
Yeah.
And if we want to stay ahead of the curve, we need to embrace a growth mindset and be willing to constantly learn, unlearn, and relearn.
So it's not about having all the answers. It's about having the curiosity and the drive to keep seeking new knowledge and perspectives.
Exactly. And this ties back to Bartlett's emphasis on self-belief and resilience. The more we learn, the more confident we become in our ability to adapt, overcome challenges, and achieve our goals.
Okay, before we wrap up, let's circle back to something we touched on earlier, the importance of building a strong personal brand. Bartlett is a master of this, and he offers some really valuable insights into how to do it effectively.
He stresses the importance of authenticity, being true to yourself, knowing your values, and letting those things shine through in everything you do.
It's about building a brand that reflects who you are, not who you think you should be.
Right. And this involves being clear about your message, your unique value proposition,
Yeah.
and what you want to be known for. It's about consistently showing up
Mhm.
and sharing your expertise and your story with the world.
He also emphasizes the importance of building a strong network, right? Surrounding yourself with people who support you, challenge you, and inspire you to be your best.
Absolutely. Your network is your net worth, as they say. And building a strong network takes effort. It's about being proactive, reaching out to people, and nurturing those relationships over time.
And it's not just about what you can get from your network, it's about what you can give. Remember the law of reciprocity.
Exactly. It's about approaching relationships with a spirit of generosity and a genuine desire to help others succeed.
Now let's talk about long-term thinking. Bartlett is a big advocate for playing the long game, for making decisions that will benefit you in the long run, even if they require some sacrifice in the short term. How can we as listeners apply this principle to our own lives? It feels especially challenging in a world obsessed with instant gratification.
It starts with having a clear vision for the future. What do you want to achieve? What kind of life do you want to create? Once you have that vision, you can start making choices that align with it, even if those choices aren't always easy or immediately rewarding.
So it's about delaying gratification,
Right.
resisting those quick wins, and focusing on building something sustainable and meaningful over time.
Exactly. And it's also about being patient. Success takes time. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
This reminds me of his emphasis on adapting to change. The world is moving faster than ever before, and the ability to adapt is crucial for success. How do you see this playing out in the context of Bartlett's County 3 laws?
Well, it means being open to new ideas, willing to learn new skills, and able to pivot when necessary. It's about embracing a growth mindset and viewing challenges as opportunities for learning and development.
He also highlights the power of storytelling as a way to connect with others, convey your message, and make a lasting impact. What advice does he offer for those of us who might not consider ourselves natural storytellers?
He encourages us to find our own stories, to share our experiences, and to use storytelling, to build relationships, inspire others, and make a difference in the world. It's not about being a Shakespearean orator. It's about being authentic and sharing your truth in a way that resonates with others.
So it's about finding those moments or the experiences that have shaped you and then sharing them in a way that connects with people on an emotional level.
Exactly. And it's also about being a good listener, being able to hear and understand the stories of others.
This leads us to another important aspect of Bartlett's philosophy, and one that is often overlooked in the pursuit of success: health and well-being.
Yes, he's very vocal about the importance of prioritizing your physical and mental health. He argues that you can't achieve true success if you burn yourself out in the process.
It's about finding that balance between pushing yourself and knowing when to rest and recharge.
Exactly. And this includes things like getting enough sleep, eating well, exercising regularly, managing stress, and making time for activities that bring you joy and fulfillment.
Let's take another quick break and come back for the final part of your deep dive. Welcome back to your deep dive into The Diary of a CEO by Steven Bartlett. Before the break, we were talking about the importance of health and well-being. It's easy to get caught up in the hustle of pursuing our goals and forget to take care of ourselves.
Bartlett really drives home the point that success is meaningless if you don't have your health to enjoy it. He emphasizes that taking care of your physical and mental well-being is an investment, not a luxury.
He also encourages us to embrace calculated risks. It's about finding that balance between playing it safe and stepping outside of your comfort zone to pursue opportunities that align with your vision.
It's about recognizing that staying stagnant can be just as risky as taking a leap of faith. Bartlett advises us to be strategic, do our research, and then trust our intuition to make the best decision.
Now let's revisit one of Bartlett's most well-known principles, the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. This principle states that roughly 80% of our results come from just 20% of our efforts.
It's a powerful concept that can be applied to virtually every area of our lives. Think about a project you're working on right now. Could you identify the 20% of tasks that would yield the greatest results?
It's about being laser-focused on those high-impact activities and ruthlessly cutting out the distractions and low-value tasks.
Exactly. Imagine the progress you could make if you channeled your energy and time into that crucial 20%.
This ties in beautifully with his emphasis on being obsessed with solving problems. He argues that success in any area of life comes from identifying real-world problems and creating innovative solutions.
He's not just talking about coming up with ideas. He's talking about putting those ideas into action. It's about execution discipline and a relentless focus on delivering results.
It's that crucial shift from being a dreamer to being a doer. He also advocates for leveraging technology to amplify your efforts and reach a wider audience.
Absolutely. Technology is constantly evolving, and it can be a powerful tool for streamlining processes, connecting with people, and expanding your reach.
He also talks about the importance of finding mentors who can guide you on your journey, people who've been there, done that, and can offer valuable insights and advice.
Mentorship can be invaluable, especially when you're navigating unfamiliar territory. A good mentor can offer support, encouragement, and a different perspective when you need it most.
But even with all the right tools and support, Bartlett reminds us that success can be fleeting if we don't stay grounded. He emphasizes the importance of staying humble, remembering where you came from, and never taking your success for granted.
Humility allows you to stay open to learning, to continuously grow, and to build genuine connections with others.
And he connects this to the law of consistency. It's about showing up every day, putting in the work, even when you don't feel like it. It's about building habits that support your goals and making progress no matter how small.
Consistency is the key to turning those big dreams into tangible results.
He also challenges us to think beyond just making money and focus on making a real impact.
It's about asking yourself, how can I use my skills and talents to make a difference in the world?
It's about finding purpose in your work and aligning your actions with your values.
And this brings us to a crucial point, the power of saying no.
In a world of endless opportunities and demands on our time, being able to say no is essential for protecting our energy and staying focused on what truly matters.
Bartlett stresses the importance of setting boundaries, prioritizing your time and saying no to anything that doesn't align with your goals or contribute to your well-being.
He's also a big believer in investing in yourself, whether it's through books, courses, experiences, or simply taking time for reflection and self-improvement.
Continuous learning is essential for growth. It's about expanding your knowledge, developing new skills, and constantly challenging yourself to become a better version of yourself.
And it's not just about formal education. It's about being curious, exploring new ideas, and being open to learning from everyone and everything around you.
Now let's delve into one of Bartlett's more intriguing concepts, his perspective on luck. He acknowledges that luck plays a role in everyone's success, but he also believes we can create our own luck.
So it's not just about hoping for the best. It's about being proactive and putting yourself in the right place at the right time.
He emphasizes the importance of being prepared, putting yourself out there, and being open to opportunities as they arise.
It's about recognizing those serendipitous moments and having the courage to seize them.
And this ties back to his emphasis on resilience. Life is full of challenges and setbacks, but it's our ability to bounce back, learn from those experiences, and keep moving forward that ultimately determines our success.
He also highlights the importance of focusing on the customer experience, truly understanding their needs and exceeding their expectations.
It's about creating products and services that solve real problems, that add value to people's lives, and that foster genuine connections.
He also champions simplicity. He argues that complexity often gets in the way of execution, and that the best solutions are often the most straightforward.
It's about stripping away the unnecessary, clarifying your message, and focusing on the core elements that truly matter.
He also reminds us of the importance of gratitude, of taking the time to appreciate the good things in our lives, both big and small.
Gratitude has a way of shifting our perspective, boosting our happiness and making us more resilient in the face of challenges.
And he highlights the power of momentum. Small wins can create a chain reaction of success. It's about celebrating those victories no matter how small, and using that positive energy to fuel our next step.
It's about building on our successes and creating a virtuous cycle of growth.
He also advocates for decisive action. Indecision can be paralyzing, and sometimes it's better to make a decision even if it's not perfect than to get stuck in analysis paralysis.
It's about trusting your gut, taking action, and course correcting along the way as needed.
And finally, he encourages us to never stop learning. The world is constantly changing, and we need to stay curious, embrace new ideas, and continuously expand our knowledge and skills.
It's about being a lifelong learner, adapting to new challenges, and always striving to grow.
So there you have it, your personalized deep dive into Steven Bartlett's 33 Laws of Business and Life. We've explored a wide range of principles and insights that you can apply to every aspect of your life, from building a successful career to creating a fulfilling life. Remember, you don't have to implement all 33 laws at once. Start by choosing a few that resonate with you the most, and focus on putting those principles into practice.
As you begin to integrate these laws into your daily life, you'll find yourself making more empowered choices, navigating challenges with greater resilience, and creating a life that is both successful and fulfilling.
And remember, the most important thing is to stay curious, keep learning, and never stop striving to become the best version of yourself. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time.